welcome to Kipoernekeskorner. I'm back over in EverQuest II. I have called the Kinos and went and dumped some things into the guild depots and put some stuff in the banks and then sold some things. Kind of cleared up the bags just a little bit. Also stopped in and bought a master while I was here. There just so happened to be, let's see, it was a disarming smart master. So, never hurts to have a little bit better, better spells going on here. It occurs to me that I should change the volume because I have it set for Watcher of Realms, which is a bit of a quieter game, and I think I probably needed to bring that up. So I'm going to head to GFA, so I'm going to use the the glowing azure shard to call over the split pop out of there, and I'll already be in Thundering Steps, and then I can make my way over to the docks, and go from there. Should be slightly faster, I think, than running through Antonica and going that way. So, that's the idea of the moment. Hopefully everyone is doing well today. I've been busily knocking some things out in real life, so let's see, let's head over to the Thundering Steps. We can go going right from here to there. And then we'll run over to the Griffin Tower over here. But first, picking up the shiny along the way, because that is always a good plan. Once more, I'm shaking the table that the computer is on, apparently. Nervous energy, you know? So I live my life. When I was a kid, the whole concept of ADD and ADHD and things of that nature was kind of newer, and in the way of, like, they weren't really checking people for things like that so much. And so I was never tested or anything like that, but I've always thought, well, probably. That might be me, who knows? Then again, I think that everybody has, I guess, differences, right? So, some people are more, I'm just going to run this because I want to actually check this ravine for some shinies along the way. I think I still need one of the red ants from here for the collection. So I think I'm just going to run down it, and it'll take a little bit longer, but it might be a worthwhile endeavor. Anyway, though, yeah, I mean, back to the whole subject I was on there. I feel like people have just sort of personality differences, genetic differences, etc. And while such things can be identified, I don't know that it's necessarily a problem that needs to be fixed. And that obviously depends on severity and things like that. But people talk about things being abnormal, and then there is the define the normal, right? What is normal? You can't really get a good grasp of what that means, because it's like, there are things that are considered acceptable and things that are considered unacceptable in culture. And that varies depending on what the culture in question is. So depending on where you live in the world, one thing may be considered normal and exceptional and functional where you're at, but you go somewhere else in the world and that same exact thing, that same exact person would be considered unusual or possibly dysfunctional, and may or may not be accepted into that culture. And it's interesting to me that we have in America a lot of things going on that we could define as a problem that I don't necessarily identify as a problem. Differences are not problems, they're just differences. Only becomes a problem when the severity is extreme to the point of being socially unacceptable in the culture that you're in. So yeah, there's my random I don't know, random thoughts for the day, I suppose. I think of that, they used to have this thing, Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy, I can't remember if it was on Saturday Night Live, maybe, I can't recall. It was something from, I guess it was like late 80s, early 90s, and it would be this little short, you could call it philosophical, but humorous, anecdote, perhaps, thought-provoking micro story, you might call it. And then it would say Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. And that's what we're doing today. Deep Thoughts, but not very deep, pretty surface. I need to stop at the mender and make sure I don't need to mend anything. I haven't been doing anything exciting, so unsurprisingly, I don't need to mend anything. Now, we're going to come over here and wait for this boat. It's been a while since I took the boat. I came over right after Greater Fate Arc was released and took the boat over there, and I've been there since then. In Greater Fate Arc, just kind of doing some of those very low-level quests and doing a little transmuting, things like that. But when I went over there last time, there was no maps. There were no maps made. Okay, that's not accurate. There were no maps that were accessible yet for those areas. And it was a little bit more of a challenging experience than it should be this time. This time we're going to have a map. And theoretically, it would be no problem to hop over, to Greater Fate Arc, running through Butcher Block Mountains with a map on. It took me, I don't know, probably 20 minutes, maybe even longer, to make it last time because I went the wrong way first. Ended up going toward Lesser Fate Arc, as I recall. Definitely the wrong direction. I was over by the chessboard, and of course, that's definitely wrong. But as probably everyone is aware by now, my visual capabilities in that regard are not phenomenal. So I was sort of lost. I don't think I was as lost as some people, though, because it was kind of like there was a lot of confusion going around that day, right after it came out, and so I feel like it was, oh, there comes the boat right now. I feel like it was fairly, I think that if you were very, very familiar with the area from having done it on live a lot of times, then it would not have been an issue. But for me, I tend to avoid just Fate War in general as much as possible. It's not my favorite place. I think maybe the State of Unrest is okay. Otherwise, like, I'm not even really a huge fan of Mistmore Catacombs. You know, a lot of people love Mistmore. Or Castle Mistmore. Not my favorite. They're okay. And the first time you go in there, it's cool. But after that, I don't know, it's just, yeah, I guess just not my cup of tea, though. If I were going to choose an overland zone over there, that would be my favorite. It would probably be Lopen Plains. I think that I don't have a horrible issue with Lopen Plains. It's more easier to navigate. It is a little difficult. You've got some things you have to go around, definitely, but you don't have as much in the way of, like, I want to say you don't have as much in the way of, like, terrain to navigate. You do have, like, a little gorge there that gets in the way. And then, but otherwise the pathing isn't terrible in Lopen Plains. I feel like most of the Fade Warrior zones, for me, are difficult to navigate, and especially without a map. There's just a lot of, you can't go this way, you can't go that way. There's no real way to, like, get over that unless, you know, like on live you've got flying mounts, so you can get over it that way. But as far as navigating it on ground, it's not very easy to get around. And Butcher Block Mountains, it took me forever. The first time that I ever came here, it took me quite a while just to find the way to the upper portion of Butcher Block Mountains. And then trying to deal with this whole area, I guess this northeastern area, is just not easy to find when you don't have a map. It can be difficult when you do have a map. So, not my cup of tea. And I know that I've mentioned I'm not a fan of Greater Quadock as well. It's just a lot of cliffs and a lot of climbing and, you know, a little much for me. And then the boat ride thing. I know that they were trying to show off all of the visual things along the way, and that's fine and well once, right? But after you've done the boat ride, maybe we just port to the docks instead. You know, is this really all necessary? I feel like maybe you can zone over here and then go, like, you want to say, like, you can get up and start a load of dishes, but the problem is if you don't get off the boat when it gets here, then you end up back over in, you know, you end up porting out here again, basically, which is not ideal. You don't want to be on the boat when it takes off again. That's the bottom line. So, you got to go up this ramp here, just so everybody knows it's right here. Right in the middle. Not where you might think if it was your first time here. But it's right in the middle of the docks area. And you've got to go up this whole winding ramp, really. It's kind of interesting. They built, like, most of the ramp on the way up is nicely defined. And then you get to this thing where it's just kind of a path. It's like they just didn't quite get finished with what they were doing here at these dwarves. They placed some torches along the way, but they haven't built their nice little sidewalk area all the way up. Alright, so finally we make it to the top of this. And then we've got the kobolds and whatnot up here. We got this guy with the quest. I'm not going to pick up the quest right now because I'm trying to try to focus on just getting over to Greater Fadar, work on those low-level quests over there, and ultimately I'll be here in Butcher Block, but that's some ways away, so. First time that I went here after it opened, I ended up going down this path to the right instead of turning to the left, which was the issue. And then a little while later, you have the opportunity to go left accidentally instead of right. So there's a couple ways that you can very easily kind of make a wrong turn and end up in the wrong place. If you go right too early, then you come over here to these caves, and that's not where you want to be, right? So it's I don't know, not especially clear without a map. And so, you do not go right here. You continue along this path, and you're going this way toward Caledon. But you don't want to go all the way, because you've got to take this little path down to the right over here, not to be confused with the one right before this area. And let's actually turn on sprint so we can get through this a little faster. We got the beetles all over the place. Bears, there's some aviacs around here. Or they're emerald drakes. And if you see the drakes, then you know you're going the right way. Again, you can easily turn the wrong way at kind of any point along here. I think we're turning left here, and you want to grab this shiny, obviously. And then there's a little ramp down. Grab that cobalt paw, and I'm just going to jump off because, hey, I'm a scout, and that's what the scouts do. So, jump on down there. And I'll turn. Okay, I don't need to turn off the sprint because it's already run out all as well. And now we're almost there. Later on, there will be the ability to use these griffin towers, making life easier. Alright, so we just keep running, and it just ports us into Greater Fate. It's kind of odd. There's nothing to click. There's not like a door that we click on or something like going Flinders steps. You just sort of run along until suddenly it says, oh, hey, you're going to Greater Fadar. And there you are. Okay, now, I must locate the Lesser Dark Road. I must locate the Living Plains Road. Return bags to Moxir, and then going to find a mushroom platform. So I think I'm gonna head over to Moxir over here, because blinking on my map, and turn in this bag first and foremost. Could go ahead and hit that road to Living Plains, know that I'm going to need to do eventually. Maybe I may as well do it now. Could get the one to Lesser Fate Art and the one to Open Plains and knock that out real quick. Maybe that's not the worst idea while I'm over in this area anyway. So, another thing it does is it switches your map view. Anytime that you're under Kelethin, it wants to switch you to the Kelethin view. I personally prefer to stick with the ground view when I'm on the ground, and the Kelethin view when I'm in Kelethin. Strangely, that may be. Currently, we're in Treant Grove. I've always called it Treants. I've heard in this game often they call it Treants. I thought an aunt was your parents' sister, but what do I know? I feel like we need an A in there if it's going to be an aunt. Lots of wisps running around here. We had an acorn going up and down right at the end of this little ramp. Almost here to the Lesser Fate Art entrance, which should update the Whittier's Wisdom quest. And then we can head over. There we go. Head over to the Logan Plains one and get that update done on the way over to Montseer. By the way, I have EQ2 maps on this computer. That's why I get all these little dots that you wouldn't necessarily get with the regular map. It's much more comprehensive, and it has maps for a bunch of places that may not otherwise have a map. So it's it's the only kind of add-on that I installed all for this game for many, many, many years. I finally did use ACT after like, I don't know, 15 years of playing. I was convinced by the guy who led the raids that I participated in to download ACT, which is Advanced Combat Tracker. I don't think it's by any means necessary for normal gameplay, but I do think that the maps, EQ2 maps, are extremely helpful. I have the most of my turn talking about how helpful it is not using it. But anyway, I do think it's very helpful. I haven't been utilizing it terribly much for this server simply because I'm enjoying running around like a chicken with my head cut off and not knowing what I'm doing and kind of trying to navigate the world without using it as much. I can use it very well if I want to. You can, if you want to, say you're looking for something, you can filter the POI and you can choose which things you want to show, which things you don't want to show. So if you're looking for something and having some difficulty finding it, then you can just use that feature and very quickly find what you're looking for. Again, because I'm getting kind of a different kind of experience that I'm looking for, even though I have EQ2 maps on here, I've been neglecting using it as much, or I just don't want to rely on it, pretty much. It's kind of something I'm using as a last resort to a large degree. I could move much more quickly if I used it more often. It was something that I was convinced fairly early on to get. At first, I didn't get it for maybe the first year that I was playing, and many people tried to convince me to. But I really don't. I'm not a big person for add-ons and things like that to games. I like when we did like Nintendo back in the day, like the NES. I remember my brother immediately got the Game Genie as soon as that came out, which is like something that you can essentially you can cheat in games. You can make it harder, you can make it easier, you can just make things a little different in the game that you're playing. But regardless, there are different codes that you can put in and make the game different. And I was just never really into that. And of course, primarily people used it to make the game easier, which I found was not something that I was ever interested in doing. And to each their own and all that, but for me, I like the challenge of games. That being said, like I said, I did download EQ2 maps eventually, and ever since then, I've used it. It's very helpful. I would say that it decreases the frustration element of running around and trying to find something you absolutely cannot find it. And so with it, you don't have to do that. I think it feels right to give it a look before you resort to that. See if you can do it yourself, and then if it's not, if it starts to become frustrating, then using the maps is perfectly fine. All right, let's see here. Monsieur Alesmith says, "Hail, I see you have returned." I say, "Yes, here are the bags." He says, "Thank you. Here's your pay." And I say, "You're welcome." All right, we got 2 silver and 96 copper. That's another thing about this area of the game. I feel like it wasn't as well done as far as like the storytelling goes. The quest write-ups just aren't as entertaining as the previous ones. Like everything prior to here, there was an element of humor, and even still in Great Fate, like there is an element of humor. I just feel like the write-ups were not as well done, and that was another reason that I wasn't a big fan. So now Monsieur says, "Always so much to do around here. Business is booming, I tell you." And I say, "Good to hear." He says, "So, are you up for some hunting? I have a new order in that is all the way across the forest, and I don't have time to do it myself." I say, "Sure, what do you need?" He says, "Okay, it says here I need to get 200 tree buzz stingers. I already sent a few people that way. Why don't you bring 20 of them? That, plus what else should be coming in, will work well." I say, "Okay." And we accept that quest. He says, "Well, stop standing there. This is a big order." I say, "I'm already gone." And then we come over to Grimply Sniffwhistle. Grimply Sniffwhistle says, "Everything here is so huge, isn't it? I feel even smaller than normal. It's beautiful." I say, "What are you doing out here?" He says, "Well, I'm an inventor. I make most marvelous things, or I will make them once I can get my thinker thinking." I say, "Is there anything I can do to help?" He says, "Well, let's see. I was working on a woodle fendu to bring me more fresh cut tree wood, but if I remember correctly, it ended up just bringing back fish, so I pushed it off the cliff. If I wanted fish, I would make a fishing trooper." I say, "So you need fresh cut tree wood?" And he says, "Yes, fresh cut tree wood. Thanks. You can stack it up over here when you bring it back. Don't just pick up any log off the ground, though. Go cut it off a tree yourself. That makes for better fires. As a matter of fact, treants give the best smoky smell to just about anything. Oh, and if you see my Rudolph Van Dugler, kick it for me, would you?" And I say, "Treant chopping I go." And we still have room, I think, we're totally out of room for quests. That's right. Picked up the Kobold quest earlier. So let's see if there's anything I may want to just knock out of the journal. I had gotten down a little ways looking through that yesterday, and let's see if there's anything I want to toss. Definitely want to keep those. Let's see. That's a heritage quest there. This is a quest you can pick up by clicking on a particular hanging eyeball in Runny Eye. Could get rid of it. We've got this one here. Snorgle, Filth Wallow is wandering around in the beginning, like the start of the tunnel in Runny Eye. So again, we could pick that back up easily enough. So I could get rid of those. I don't really want to. These are all city writs for Kelethin. History of the Condemned Catacombs, definitely don't want to get rid of that. We've got a Vision of Fear, that's a questline in Fear. Got some things for Khazad-Thul. That's a book quest. Here's a heritage quest. This is another city task. Suddenly the Creator, that's a Obelisk of Lost Souls. Obelisk of Lost Souls. I definitely don't think I want to get rid of any of these Khazad-Thul quests. I need to go back into Khazad-Thul sometime soon and finish these up. I also have the Screaming Mace in there, which I'm almost finished with that step. I need to take a key from the Thulian Terror Field. And I need to get in, there's a special instance in there that you go and finish this up with. Which I need to go do that. But, not really interested in jumping over into that right now. Okay, this is some Rivervale. In Rivervale, there's the Tower of Traveling. And so those are the quests, some quests that I need to complete. Now, my stylized dagger situation, I haven't checked to see if it updates yet. Maybe they've fixed that quest. I should have checked that while I was in town a little bit ago, but I did not do it, unfortunately. This is a Portrait of Destiny. That's a kind of a hidden quest in Neck Castle. There's a book. Lore and Legend. Okay, let's see. Anything that I want to get rid of? Not really. I think I don't want to get rid of any of these things. So maybe I just don't pick up those quests yet. Another lovely option. In which case, let's head over. I think, I was thinking about this Ashway Home, and my initial thought when I first got it was that it was over near Crushbone Feet, where the camp we talk. And then I convinced myself that that was silly. It wouldn't possibly be it. Now I'm back to it. I'm thinking, maybe it is one of those camps over there. There's a variety of different camp-like areas, and Rutog, it sounds orcish. I don't know if that's right or not, but I think I'm gonna head over there and look around and just see if I can find it. The trouble is, when I was over there before, it felt like I was getting too near Crushbone Keep, but maybe not, because I've wandered around and I looked in the Orc area by Orc Hill. That's definitely not right. So I think I'm just going to head over here again and wander around and see if I can find anything that might be where I want to go here. Apparently first I gotta get stuck on a tent. Playing around Rosie with my invisible friends there or something. Alright, so here we are, and there's different areas with like little campfires, and you know, I don't know what they're called. This had said west of Camp Utah. I'm just thinking if I run around to each of the little campfires, maybe we'll get a you know, a pop-up saying, hey, you're at Camp Utah. And then I'll be able to look and go, okay, now where's west of Camp Utah? Right? Makes sense to me. There are a large number of the campfires. And you would think, really, that they could kind of share, right? Like maybe instead of maybe 500 tiny fires that are for 2 people, they could make one larger fire and have a better, I don't know, it seems nicer. Oh, Camp Utah. Excellent. Now west. Let's go west. All right. Ah, there's a platform. Well, there we go. This is looking promising. If only I had done this yesterday. But oh well, that's okay. No rush anyway. Sorry, I'm shaking the computer. All right. So, where will we go here? Yes, it works. Excellent. So even though it was grayed out, it still worked. And now it says, I need to return to Ruffle. So we have to fill treants in the treant grove that's near the starting area of right after you zoom into Greater Fada from Witchblood Mountains. And also Tree Buzz Pixies. So both of those things would be in the same kind of area. Also need to head up to Kelvin, which the ramp up from that same area will get you to a nice location for talking to Whittier, I think. And so we'll be able to do that and turn from those, clear some of the stuff out of the journal maybe. It occurs to me that it's specifically Tree Buzz Pixies that we have to get, so I'll have to put
release the Ashway Ulm?
Don't know if you guys could hear that, but he says, having released the Ashway Ulm, I'm actually going to fix the volume. As previously mentioned, I have it set to watch your drums volume. We need to turn that up a little bit. Right there should be fine. And I'm going to say yes.
Perfect. Are you ready for your next mission?
Yes.
There's a pond in Crushbone territory. Based on the incidents involving the orcs and a number of coerced, corrupted, or turned denizens of this forest, we've guessed that this pond serves as a test bed for some of their experiments. We'd like you to get a water sample from this pond.
I can do that. Now I'm going to accept this
Bring the
quest.
sample back to me as soon as you have it.
Okay. We'll have an Uchi joke for that. But before I go too crazy with that, I'm actually going to go back to the beginning of this area. And then I should be able to start on these things. Let's actually use the escape. I'm so rusty. It took me a second to find where escape was on the hotbar. But we're gonna escape and get there a little bit faster this way. So that brings us right over here. And we can head down. I don't know which one the tree buzz specifically are. But we'll just use track. And when we run across some tree buzz guys, it'll show up on the track and people get them. There are some pixies of some kind who are over here in this area by the nursery. But I'm going to not head there right now. I'm going to head toward the tree ant grove over here. And hopefully we'll be able to kill those treants and get those updates. And maybe the tree buzz guys are going to be nearby. Who knows? We'll see. If not, I can always come back and go north to the nursery over there. Nobody's on in build at the moment. But here we have some coarse saplings, so those will work for this quest. There's a orc on me, but I'm not real worried about him. I don't need the quest, and I can always stop and get him in a second if I decide to. Not really necessary. Got a couple of treant leaves for my trouble as well, which is nice. Alright, no luck on tree buzz guys yet, but let's head over and go up to Whittier over here. Now, hold on. I better grab this. Okay, it doesn't let me get it, so. Oh, look, there's Zug boat. Okay, so we've made it up to the green knoll, and that is where this ramp comes down to from Kelvin. As far as I'm aware currently, this is the only ramp up into Pelican. The other ones are acorn rush, but I think this is the only ramp up. Only way you can get into here without having to wait on a acorn to drop down. Okay, we're almost over to Whittier. He's a treant.
Well, anything make you run screaming to the guards like a little pixie?
Not yet.
Good. You're tougher than you look. Those places I sent you to aren't so difficult to reach. You can't get lost going to them and coming back.
No, I guess not.
Some folks think that going out to kill things before being attacked isn't self-defense. Chaw! Better them than you, right?
I suppose so. How is this a job for me?
I'm testing you. I need someone who'd be good at whatever they put their mind to. Someone who'll finish the job with no regrets. Never any regrets. Got it?
Got it. I feel like we're being manipulated here.
Something I wonder whether you can help me with. If you have time now, that is. You might even get a good scar or two.
Sure, I have time.
That's the spirit. We treants remember even further back than the Fae. And that's the answer that warms the innermost rings in my heart.
What did you need me to do?
I live up here, 'cause every time I walk around the forest below, a swarm of wasps tries to build a nest in my branches. I just run away, but these old roots aren't what they used to be. Go exterminate some of them so I can amble in peace.
Of course.
Great. I knew I could count on you.
Alright, I'll let you know when it's safe to head down there. And then I'm gonna check and see if I can transmute this. Cannot. And I should be high enough level to, so it's probably just not transmutable. Yeah, it says it can't be transmuted. That's unfortunate. So, we need to clear out some of the wasps, lurkers, look from the greater fade beneath Pelton. Start with just jumping off. And then we can get some of these wasps here. Alright. So, get rid of our Trubas thing. And look at the wasps. Need a total of 10. And we got this shiny over there. The Furious Wasp on track. We have 4 more to go, 3 more now. And 2 more on track, so that's a good sign. Alright, we're good. That knocked out. And then let's switch just to that map, but we get switched back easily enough. And then head back over to Whittier. But on the way there, look at all these lovely Trebos soldiers. We need 20 of them. And this is a good spot to get some, so let's do it. Alright, so we're at 16 of 20 right now. Don't need the fabric patches. Those are the lore or the language quests, sorry, for the fairy types. And these are considered fairies in that regard. So, got all the wasps we needed. We just need these tree buzz guys. Don't have any showing up on track. That's the fabric patch we don't care for. Got a shiny over here. Unfortunately, we seem to have wiped out all of the G-Buzz population in this area. So, maybe we'll go ahead and turn this in, and we can come back over after I run into a lamppost for a solid second. Also an important part. I almost made it back over to the earth over here. See what he has to say.
Is it safe yet?
Pretty safe. There's still a lot of wasps around.
Ah, well, I'm sure you did your best.
Did you need anything else done?
The Fae don't like to go on the offensive. I don't mind taking out what shouldn't be there. Pruning, as it were. They're happy to not need to clear out what's beneath Kelethin. And I'm happy to get it cleaned up.
Sounds like a good compromise.
It is. Works well for us. There are a few Fae who can be more aggressive, of course, but generally, they're peaceful. Me, I get annoyed easily by those pesky bugs.
Bugs can be annoying.
Want to be useful? There are beetles that bore into wood, living and dead. That's dangerous to Kelethin, not to mention unhealthy for folks like me. First thing is to identify what we're dealing with.
I can do that.
If these beetles were left to hollow out other trees, who knows what horrors we might have to endure? I've prepared a list of what you might find, and what to do to get rid of that particular pest. It's possible we might have all types down there.
Alright, I'll get to work. Now we accept this quest. Identify the beetles. Which is this right here. And that says, identifying beetles in Greater Phaedon by Whittier, subject matter expert. A guide to the most commonly found beetles in Greater Phaedon. These beetles are potentially dangerous to the city of Kelethin and should be eradicated. There are two primary categories of beetles, those that thrive on living wood and those that prefer cut or dry wood. Within these two categories are many subsets. However, only 3 major types of beetles are found in Greater Feydark that could have a negative impact on the city of Kelethon. The first type is the crystalline beetle, a rather iridescent specimen that requires cut logs and beams. In Greater Feydark, it is usually found near fallen logs on the forest floor, though it has also been seen leaving traces on the posts supporting various walkways connecting Kelethon's platforms. This is obviously dangerous, as an infestation could sever the connections between platforms, or possibly undermine the platforms themselves. Among the beetles that infest living wood, none is more prolific than the bark beetle. Burrowing itself beneath the tree's outer bark, this beetle's larva can strip a small tree of enough bark to allow other insects or water damage to take hold. While Kelethon's trees are very large and often considered invulnerable, if left unchecked, these bark beetles can proliferate and ruin entire sections of a tree's skin. Usually, these bark beetles start their evil deeds on any above-ground roots, which are more tender than mature trees. The blue tunneler is the final beetle present in Greater Feydark. This beetle bores into massive living trees, creating vast networks of tunnels. These tunnels may cut off the natural flow of nutrients throughout the tree, eventually starving it to death. Examine any mushrooms near a living tree for indicators that these beetles are nearby and ready to begin their life of destruction. Treatment for these beetles is simple and effective. They must be removed. There are no natural predators in Greater Feydark that will remove the beetle menace. Therefore, it is up to the citizens of Kelethon to be on the lookout for signs of infestation. Once the beetles are removed from a source, they may not return for several seasons. However, one must always be vigilant, as these pests can return unexpectedly. They might also begin to infect nearby trees or fallen logs. A watchful eye can prevent these creatures from getting out of hand. Alright, so that is his book on what needs to be done here. Well, actually, it's a book on beetles in general. It happens to include what needs to be done. And so right now, what we're looking for are crystalline beetles. So examine some of the logs, and if I find any of these beetles, so saith the quest helper. Currently, however, what I'm looking for are more of those tree buzz guys, because I feel like that could be helpful as well. Maybe we'll find some of these beetles along the way. Who knows? Indeed. Here we have a fallen log that looks like a likely candidate. Alright, we examined the fallen log, and we got these crystalline beetles out of it. Got those guys. Now it says bark beetles can be found in roots growing up through the forest floor. I should examine some roots, and if I find any of these beetles, kill them. Sure, sounds good. Let's do it. I'm going to head this direction. And here we have a large root, which is likely to have what we need in it for these bark beetles. Examine some roots, and here come the bark beetles. Okay, got those two. Blue tunnelers can be found inside mushrooms near large trees. I should examine some mushrooms, and if I find any of these beetles, kill them. But let's also come and grab this shiny over here. Gotta keep your priorities, you know? I think we're getting close to where those tree buzz fellows are over here. And also, Perhaps. I don't think that's the right kind of mushroom. I think the ones that we need, yeah, it's not. It's a different kind of mushroom. The ones that we need are going to be little circles of mushrooms laying around the tree areas like this. There's a quick sea soldier. That's not quite what I need. Well, there's some very large mushrooms. Let's examine that. It gives us yes. Gives us these tunnels here. So now we've finished up that quest for Whittier. However, I would like to tend to these tree buzz guys, if at all possible. Lots of flixies, not so much tree buzz. Definitely have gone too far at this point. We're going to run back over toward the entrance to Telephone over here to go back up and chat with old Whittier. I want to kind of run along this ledge here to know that that is where we saw the tree buzz guys earlier. Doesn't look particularly promising, but maybe could be around that area. I don't know. I just head over to the entrance. I'm not worried about it too much. We'll come back looking for tree buzz guys momentarily.
See any of those pesky beetles?
I found some and destroyed them.
That's good to know. Nothing's worse than seeing a healthy tree or treant suddenly felled by a rotten core.
I agree.
We all need to do our part to keep things from getting out of hand. Of course, there's some bugs that are good for the forest. They help break things down into nutrients for the soil.
You're not going to ask me to.
No, I'm not asking you to break anything down, just making an observation. Now, do you still want to help Kelethin?
Of course.
One of my friends down in the forest is also helping keep Kelethin safe. You might go talk with her next time you're visiting below. Her name's Mentha Haora, and you'll probably find her near the Combine Spires by crossing the river road.
I'll do that. Alright, so we got Whittier's Splintered Breastplate for that. Just a level 7 chest piece. And we're going to try to see if we can transmute it. Well, no luck on that one either. Cannot be transmuted. What a shame. Alright, now then, let's see. We need to get these tree buzz guys. See if we can manage to find any article. We did get our safe ball up to 184 out of 235. And that's not nothing. Now, I'm going to find the ledge again and see if we have any true buzz fellas hanging out. I thought that they were over there, like flying around this area near here. But apparently, perhaps at least I'm wrong on that. So I don't see them now. Either that or they haven't respawned. Not sure which. Feels like they should have probably respawned by now. Ah, there's one. Actually, only need 2 more, so this is looking promising. Alright, very good. Alright, excellent. Got the parts from up here. We're also going to be checking in with Mintha Haura, which we were already over talking with earlier, but now we can do a little bit more for her. And we also have something to turn in to somebody else by Grimpley. Grimpley is the guy standing right over beside. I can't remember the name of the person. But anyway, it's right over here by the combo inspires. 2 of them that we need to turn into at least, or yeah. Alright, almost there. Definitely glad to get that thing with the mushroom platform out of the way. It's a good one to not have to be looking for. Alright, so here we have Amintha Haura. She says, nice work. Alright, cool. We accept that 1 silver and 12 copper for that very simple task. Monsieur Alesmith says, Hail, I see you have returned. I say, yes, here are the steamers. You got an alternate advancement point. He says, thank you. Here is your pay. I say, welcome. And we pick up this 3 silver and 1 copper for that. Talk to the vendor. He says, hail, friend. What can I do for you today? I'm all caught up on my tasks, and I'm feeling a bit underwhelmed. Do you have any work for me? I say, no, I want work from you. He says, well, I don't have any extra work today. I guess I could think of something. Give me a moment. I say, okay. He says, all right, I think it's high time that we build a more lasting camp. The gnome over there said to me he would help if I provided the boulders. So your job is to bring the boulders over here. I'm sure you've seen the cove that has all those giant rocks in it. I'm going to say, no, I haven't. And we get part-time help for level 20. He says, well, it's just up the river. Follow it all the way. You can't miss it. Bring me as many as you can. I say, okay. Then we got Grimpley Sniffwhistle over here who says, oh, you're back. Did you find much firewood? I hope so, because I have no time at all, I tell you, to think about firewood. I say, there is the firewood. He says, thanks, just put it over here. I say, you're welcome. I pick up 1 silver and then talk to him again because he has another quest. He says, okay, so you're here. what do you think if I cover myself in Pixie armor plate and try to infiltrate their hive and find out the secret of making Chum Chum? I say, I think I would think you were silly. He says, oh, no time for that. I know. I will build a cognatic Pixie bopping machine and send it in for me. Yes, that's it. Bring me some Tree Buzz Pixie parts and let's get started. I say, okay, you just keep thinking. Unfortunately, I just killed those Tree Buzz Pixies and never go back. And it's all because I didn't have room in my journal. What a shame. He says, okay. Or, oh, good. Are you still here? No, that's no good. Now go. The Tree Buzz won't bring me their parts on their own. I say, okay. Now, I have room for one more quest. So, let's pick up this one here from Rondu Kavan. Kipoerneke. He says, even the bugs are giant. Why must I endure this suffering when I should be leading these blue orcs around pillaging the land? I say, and the sun should set on my shoulders. He says, you know, at one time the orcs followed the rule of a Terdal, but it seems in our years of absence they have forgotten who their true masters are. I say, your story is amusing. Maybe you should do something about it. He says, we must remedy this. Find out for me what they are up to. Having information is the key to success, so bring it to me. Any information you may find them. Are you up to the task? I say, sure. I'll see what I can find. He says, tell me of their plans. If you happen to have to interrogate any Crashbone Centurions, you have my blessing for using deadly force. I say, well, thank you. Alright, so I have to interrogate Crashbone Centurions, see if they have any information that Rondu Kavan would find useful. I also have to find a Tree Buzz Pixie head, hunt the decaying guardians, and gather their boulders. Oh yeah, that was going to be upriver. So I should head that way. If I can not run into the tree root. There we go. It's a tough call, this walking thing. Always a difficulty. Alright. Also, I need to fill the flask that Suathal gave me with a water sample from the pond. Man, I forgot about this. Typical stool caves over here. I have vague memories of it. Oh, let's climb back out. Somebody's overrunning that castle, since they have room for one more. Not me, man. Not me. Not right now. Maybe another time. I don't have 4 hours at the moment. Currently, I'm heading over to this shiny that I just saw. But after that, I'm heading over to Tree Bus area. And I'm gonna try to get some more of those. We found them a little bit ago. Hopefully we can find them again. We'll see. A little bit further run. Let's see, I think we kind of go along this lower part of this cliff face here. And there's no telling how many you have to kill because it's one of those random update type lists. So we just have to kill them until it tells me we're done. Oh, that was very, very quick and easy. I expected it to take significantly more time, but I see that the reason it didn't is because the head was just the first update. So who knows how many of these we're going to actually have to kill to get who knows how many pieces from them. Just cannot see this thing. There we go. Ah, so he got it. Excellent. Alright, we got him. Not interested in those guys, really. Alright, so those were Grimply. And he's going to be back over there in that area we were in before, which is to the southeast of where we're at right now. Now over to the right up here, which is to this area where I'm mousing over. That's where you go whenever you're doing the quest for the queen, and you end up having to go talk to the toadstool guy in the river. And then you have to go hunt these little, pick up these toadstool guys from all around that area, down here. And those are the big toadstool king guys, followers. Or they were his followers. And they betrayed him. And if you haven't seen that quest line yet, it's an entertaining one. Alright, so Grimpy Sniffwizard says, "Oh, you're back. Did you bring me tree buzz parts, Bixie parts? I've been talking to some others around here, and I hear that each of the Bixie tribes have a different pattern of hairs that run down their backs. Or was that the wolves? I say, did you want these?" Except that copper, and then his quest. This is where, of course, I want them. Let's see here. If I attach this leg to the copper cock spinner weakly. I need some spider soap to tie this on with something of proper strength. You'll grab me some of that, would you? I say, I'm on it. Gather a huge spider soap. No room in the journal. We do have a shiny over here, looks like. Couple of them. Nice. Plenty of room in the bags at the moment. Grab this. And then this. Well, it doesn't go that way. Let's see, what do we need to do currently? Do need to go get some water from the pond in the Creshbone area. At the decaying guardians, okay? It calls them decaying guardians, but the game calls them rotting guardians, so that works. Need a total of 10 of these guys. Have 4 at the moment. Which one on the other side? Perhaps I need to head over there. Golem animating force. I wonder if I need these golem pieces. I don't know how to find out easily. Don't need them. Oh, we need one more of those, and he's right here on top of this mushroom. Okay, so we got all the boulders we need. Gotta get it shiny, of course. These ones are decayed. Ones that I'll kill were rotting, but these guys, they're decayed. Still a nice, easy path to follow. let's see. I think we're on the wrong side, but that's okay. We can cross over here in a little bit. Should be a nice path right here to go across this smooth fallen log. And there's a shiny over there. Now I'm going to click that again so that I stop having the path. And we're going to recheck over here with Motsteer, I suppose. Motsteer? Probably. Alright, here we are. Let's chat with Motsteer the Minder. This is Hale. I see you have returned. I say yes, here are the rocks. He says thank you, here's your pay. I say you're welcome. We have 11 silver and 13 copper from that. Let's pick up whatever Seft Stout Arm has been. He says, well, hello there. If you're here to buy some ale, you're going to have to wait a while. It seems the magic of getting here affected some of my supplies. I say, is everything okay? He says, it hasn't been the best trip for me, that's for sure. If you want any of my ale, you're going to have to help out. My star stick was broken by Grom, and now I'm in need of another one. But it's not like I can use just any stick. I say, do you want me to get you a stick? He says, the stick needs to come from a tree that is home to bees. If you can find it on an evil tree, that's even better, since it will impart some of its spirit to the ale. I say, I will find the most wicked tree in the Feydark. Right. Wicked tree in the Feydark, eh? Alright, well that implies probably over and back among the coerced trees over there. There were previously. Maybe. You know, there's also a possibility. Not sure. Got another shiny though, that's for sure. Still have plenty of room left in the bag, so always having to check that because so often I'm out of room. Also need to get some huge spider soap. Not sure where that would be. We got some spiders over in this area, so I'm kind of heading that way, the idea that there are coursed treants this way, there's some spiders this way. Maybe we'll find some spider soap, huh? Who knows? There's one of the coursed saplings, and it has a feather, so maybe we're not looking for a specific evil tree. On a good evil tree branch receptor, I think it'll do. So, it wasn't necessarily the most evil one, it was just the first one we came across. Got it. Now, spider soap. You know, I don't think there are any centurions over here. I think they're all over Red Crush Moonkeep, but just in case, may as well put that on track. More spiders here. I'm wondering if there's anything that I should put. I don't see anything regarding spider silk type things. Nothing doing so far. Got some more spiders up here, so I think I'll head in this direction towards Spider Central. No bueno. Now later on in the progression of the game, there are horses that you can use to travel from one area to the next in this zone. But not at this time. Tell you what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna run over here and run off and head back toward my turn in here with Seft Stout Arm, because I'm gonna have to take off soon, and so I think I'd rather just head over and turn this in, maybe pick up the next quest before I have to log for a bit. So, definitely want to grab the shiny on there as well. Have an Antonic of Parsi's requisition sitting in my bags, it seems. And also, I'd like to keep my eye out for any need this spider soap that you might run across. We got the giant spiders. You'd think that would go right along with huge spider soap, but who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Almost made it over to the Combine Spires area, which is where Seth Stout Arm is hanging out around this corner. Alright, Seth Stout Arm says, well, hi there. I was wondering if I was going to have to go look for a brew stick myself. Did you find one? I say I chopped down the most terrible tree and brought to you this stick. And he says, well, let me see it. It's not bad. Let's give it a stir. Come back tomorrow and I'll tell you if it worked. I say, okay. And then we don't have to wait till tomorrow like Matsy. We can just talk to him right now. And he says, back so soon? Well, it is working out quite well, but still not ready for just anyone to drink. Only I can taste it to see if it's ready for everyone else. I say, oh, okay. He says, I could use a little more help if you feel up to the challenge. I say, sure thing. He says, great, I want to build a second brew barrel, but I want to make it extra special. The wood that comes off the Guardians of the Glade would be perfect. I say, so you want me to go get you... He says, yes, wood from the Guardians of the Glade. It will make for a great new brew barrel. Make sure you bring back enough to make a whole barrel. I say, I will be back shortly. And then I come over here to get this beautiful, shiny... Got a green grub there. Alright, now, I guess I better go ahead and call it quits for now. And hopefully, I don't know, it may be a while before I get back in. I'll definitely be in at some point this evening to do some Watcher Realms, if nothing else. I do have some things I've got to get planned today that'll take a minute. If I have a chance to get back on EverQuest II today, I will. But that remains to be seen. So, for now, if you're not following me, be sure to follow me so that you can turn on notifications and see next time I go live. It was a pleasure streaming with all of you, and hopefully I will see you all again soon. Bye for now.